Hello everybody, this is me again, Bad Weather Freak, with another video. I know it has been a while since I haven't made a video, but just touching bases with you guys. I also wanted to talk about Hurricane Michael. Maybe a lot of you know already, but if you don't, well, this is what happened with Hurricane Michael. If you guys remember, when Hurricane Michael made landfall in October of last year, it was a very strong Category 4 hurricane. Now, after months and months of research, they have pretty much determined, scientists and meteorologists, they have determined that actually Michael was a Category 5 when it made landfall. And I knew that was going to happen because normally when hurricanes approach the coast, they weaken. They get weaker because they're basically getting into shallower waters. The water is probably not as warm, less water to feed them, and etc. So normally as they approach the coast, they basically weaken. Now, with Hurricane Michael, it was a little different. With Hurricane Michael, Michael kept strengthening until he made landfall. Now, when it made landfall, they said Category 4, 155 mile per hour winds. Now, what really kept me thinking that there was no way it was a Category 4, it was the fact that the barometric pressure was, it was low, and actually, just as I use as an example, Hurricane Andrew. When Hurricane Andrew made landfall, they said 160 mile per hour winds, but the pressure was actually higher than Michael. Michael had a pressure like, I want to say 919 millibars, which is really low. That's definitely Category 5. And the fact that 157 miles per hour, so 2 more miles per hour, is categorized as a Category 5, it was so close that I was always thinking they have to upgrade this hurricane to a Category 5. It took 6 months up roughly, but it did happen. And what they do is they usually, the scientists and meteorologists, right after the hurricane happened, they basically survey the damage, and they see if it is possible that the damage caused by the hurricane was the damage that a Category 5 will do. And after all this time, they finally determined that was the case. Now, I personally was not in the area, but I did see a lot of footage, a lot of pictures, videos of people that were in the area when it happened. And the devastation was ridiculous. I mean, it was a lot. Buildings completely wiped out. Mainly closer to the beach, but also pretty far inland. So a lot of buildings and houses, they did receive a lot of damage. Now, a lot of you might say, well, Hurricane Andrew was worse than Michael and this and that. It is somewhat true, but this is the reason why. If you guys remember, when Hurricane Andrew in 1992 made landfall, it did cause a lot of destruction. But what ended up happening is, after the devastation that Hurricane Andrew caused, authorities basically and local officials saw the necessity of upping or making new building codes to make sure that kind of destruction was not going to happen again. So, yes, Hurricane Andrew did cause more destruction, but because of Hurricane Andrew, those building codes, in other words, better building codes, needed to come out so that way it wouldn't repeat itself. So even though we could say that Michael on paper was stronger, but the devastation was not as, it wasn't as much as Hurricane Andrew. Now, it was a lot, but not as much. And that's mainly the reason why. Because by having better building codes, the damage, against hurricanes, it was going to be less. Stronger garage doors, to put you an example. Researchers basically said that during Hurricane Andrew, a lot of roofs were blown off because the weakest point on a house is actually the roof. Now, not the roof. The roof eventually will blow out, but the garage door, that's the weakest point in a house. After Hurricane Andrew, what they started doing, first of all, better reel system to keep or track system for the doors better. They were stronger. The doors were made out of better materials, stronger materials. And one thing that I didn't know is if you go into your garage door and you look carefully, you're gonna see some latches. They have latches on the sides of the door. It could have one in each side, maybe two, depending on the size of the door. My door, personally, I believe it has 4 in total, so 2 in each side. And those latches are made for the exact same reason why they failed originally. It will latch them on and they will hold up better. Before Hurricane Andrew, the doors didn't have them. So basically, that's why a lot of roofs got blown off, because the weakest point was the garage door. And that causes basically the door to fail, and eventually the roof will be blown off. So that's some of the things that I've seen and some of the differences. Now, so far that's all I got for you guys. I wanted to talk a little bit about Hurricane Michael, the updated category status, and some of the reasons why I know some people are thinking that the difference that between Andrew and Michael, because Michael was the actual since Andrew, it was the first category 5 to make landfall in the United States. So it has been quite a while. And you see that it doesn't happen that often. And that's, again, the reason why I explained before. Usually they get weaker as they get close to the shore. But another interesting fact, Hurricane Michael was the 4th category 5 to ever impact the United States. So you got Michael as the 4th category 5. You got Andrew, you have Camille in 1969, and then you have 1935, the infamous Labor Day hurricane. If you remember, back then they didn't have names, not yet, because the National Hurricane Center hasn't implemented that system yet. It was actually implemented, I believe, in the 1960s. That's when they started naming the storms. So those are the only 5 category 5 hurricanes, so 4 in total. Now you have had other hurricanes that have come pretty close, very strong category 4s. If you remember 2017, you had Irma, we had also Harvey in Houston, and you have Maria in Puerto Rico, which I'm actually surprised about Maria also. It was a strong category 4, but the damage that caused in the island was the same thing. It was so bad. Now, in Puerto Rico, they might be a little limited in resources in the sense of not having enough data because it's an island. Here in the United States, you have more technology, you have more resources. A lot of people, as a matter of fact, today have weather stations in their homes, like personal weather stations, and those weather stations, as long as they don't fail, they do have a big impact on determining a lot of factors on hurricanes. So Puerto Rico, they probably don't have that luxury. So who knows if down the road they might upgrade it also to category 5, but I highly doubt it. that that's gonna happen. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. We'll stay in touch as we get closer to the hurricane season. We're getting there. We'll definitely bring more tips and more information. But so far, that's all I have for you guys right now. Take care and have a good day.